All right, so this is my week 13 NBA power rankings. Let's get started. So, obviously, for the injuries here, Ben Simmons should be back by next week, they're saying. So, he's pretty close to actually being back finally. Jakob Poeltl's going to be out for a week for the Raptors. DeAndre Hunter could be back this week. Mavs finally did get Maxi Kleber back. It's been a long time since he's been playing. Shaedon Sharpe for the Trailblazers is going to be out for about 2 more weeks right now. He just got injured, I believe, yesterday. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Hurts them a little bit there. Pistons, Monte Morris should be back in a couple of weeks. Isaiah Stewart is back now. And Cade Cunningham is supposed to play at some point this week. For the Hornets, LaMelo Ball is back. So that's good for them. Get their best player back. Warriors finally got Draymond back after his suspension. Cam Reddish is going to be injured. Listed him like day to day, so he's going to miss probably a couple games, but he could potentially miss 0 games. Derrick Rose is supposed to be back this week, but for the Grizzlies, they got a lot of injuries for the Grizzlies. Marcus Smart's going to be out for 6 weeks. Desmond Bane's going to be out for 6 weeks. And Jake LaRavia is going to be out for like 3 weeks. So definitely not a good spot for the Grizzlies right now. The Bucks finally did get Jay Crowder back. He's been out for like 2 months or something. And then Darius Garland said could be back soon, potentially next week, maybe this week, maybe even a little bit longer than that. But they said he is pretty close to returning. So then, at number 30 here, we got the Portland Trailblazers, who went 0-4 this week. They're actually going to give us a new worst team in the league, because they did lose all their games this week. And they're going to be without Shaedon Sharpe, one of the best players, for a couple of weeks. And then over here on the stats, I just got every team's leading player at the specific stat categories, and you can read those for yourself if you're interested. I got to note that the Blazers also did lose to the Thunder by 62 this week, so that's a big reason also why they're going to drop below some of these teams. At number 29, we do got the Washington Wizards, actually, who are 7-32 and 1-2 this week. Did lose to the Pistons, so that's pretty sad. You're not really supposed to lose to the Pistons. They're pretty bad. You also did make a little trade here. You traded Mike Muscala and Danilo Gallinari for Isaiah Livers and Marvin Bagley. I don't really know if that makes you better or worse right now. Both those players, all 4 of those players are basically on the same level, and none of them are really that good. So it doesn't really move the needle for you in either direction. Sorry. At number 28, we got the Detroit Pistons, who are 4-36, went 1-3 in this week. They actually got a win this week against the Wizards, so it's not a very good team to beat, but they did end up winning, get their 4th win of the season, their only win so far of this calendar year. So they're doing still very, very bad, only 4-36, but you got to win this week. Maybe you can try to get a win next week too, and maybe get 2 wins in 2 weeks. That'd be something for the Detroit Pistons. And of course, our little trade that I already mentioned earlier. At number 26, we got the Charlotte Hornets, who are 8-29, 0-3 the week. Did get LaMelo Ball back, so that's why they're not going to drop, anymore, because they did get the best player back from injury, so they should be looking better going forward here. At number 26, we're going to have the Memphis Grizzlies. They haven't been playing bad. They went 2-2 this week, but they also did just, lose 2 of the better players with Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart going to be out for like 6 weeks. So not going to return until probably March at this point. And they got Jake LaRavia is going to be out for like 3 weeks. He's not too big of a player, but when they already have as many injuries as they do, Jake LaRavia is definitely a rotational piece. I'm assuming they're probably going to end up, signing a few dudes on like some 10-day contracts maybe to try to fill out this roster, because right now they have too many injuries. They got like 8 guys, I think, in total that are injured, counting like Brandon Clark and Steven Adams and stuff. So they got way too many injuries on this roster. They're just not going to be a very competitive team right now because they got Jaren Jackson as their best player, and after that, they got a bunch of guys that are hardly role players. So it's going to be pretty ugly to watch Grizzlies basketball for the foreseeable future. At number 25, we got the San Antonio Spurs, who actually went 2-2 this week, are 7-32 now. So overall, was a pretty solid week. You beat the Pistons and the Hornets, so obviously games you're supposed to win, but you did beat them pretty significantly both those times by over 20 points. So, you still played pretty good. And then you only lost your two other games by 10 and 6 points. So really, your margin of victory this week, even with your two games that you lost, is still like over 20 points per game. So that's really good to see for San Antonio Spurs. At number 24, you got the Brooklyn Nets, who are 0-2 on the week. They're not a horrible team right now, but they're just not been great. Cam Thomas has definitely fallen off in the first month of the season. Ever since he had his injury and came back, he hasn't been the exact same player, which we know. We know what Cam Thomas is. He's a bucket getter, but he's, inconsistent. And at the beginning of the season, he just started out really, really hot, and now he's been, more inconsistent, like you would expect the man to be. So it's not really very surprising that they're not one of the best teams right now. They did only lose to Miami by 1 point, so if they won that game, they might actually move up a couple spots here, but I'm going to sit them at the exact same spot here at number 24. At number 23, you got the Toronto Raptors, who are going to drop 5 spots. They went 0-4 on the week. That's not a very good week for you. And you got Jakob Poeltl going to be out for a week. He's a good starter for you guys. So missing him for a week isn't going to be great. But it's only a week, so you guys will manage. But I don't really know if this Raptors team is going to be able to make the playoffs right now. They're not too far away from the play-in seed, but obviously going 0-4 this week did not help them out at all. I believe they're currently like 12th in the conference. Whoa. Okay, hold up. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna get back to my spot here. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know exactly what happened, but yeah. I'm just saying I believe they're 12th in the conference, above just the Wizards, Pistons, and Hornets right now. So not a great look there. I would do expecting to trade Pascal Siakam and just basically call the season a wash, and then eventually maybe next year the Bucks being like a better team. But right now it's not looking very good for them to be a playoff team. Definitely not a competitive playoff team. At number 22, we got the Houston Rockets, who are 1-3 on the week, are now below 500. They've been, the last few weeks they've been just like buffering around the 500 range. They're currently, one game under 500, but it's still just right in that same area. Just not a great week for this week, but they're not a bad team. I'm still doing better than people expected them to do this year. They beat the Pistons only by 2 as their only win of the week. It's a 2-point win over the Pistons, so that's not exactly a great look for you guys. Then you lost to the Bulls. Bulls aren't bad, but you still, probably should be able to beat them. Then you lost to two good teams in the Celtics and 76ers, so that's why you're not going to move down too much, because 2 of your losses were to really good teams. But yeah. At number 21 here, we do got the Golden State Warriors, and it was a toss-up between Warriors and the Houston Rockets here, but just with the Warriors getting Draymond Green back this week, I wanted to put them just right above the Houston Rockets. I thought that would give them a little bit more of a boost than what the Rockets are currently standing at. The Warriors did end up losing to the Memphis Grizzlies by 9 points when the Grizzlies had Jaren Jackson and a bunch of scrubs. So that was a pretty embarrassing loss. You still have your own injury issues as well, but you did get Draymond Green back in that game, and he did not make a difference because you still ended up losing to a really, really bad team on paper. At number 20, we got the Chicago Bulls, who are 19-23, went 2-2 on the week, so they're buffing right around 500. I believe they're currently in the play-in seed. I'm not really sure. They're either like 11 or 10 right now, buffering right around there in the play-in seed. So I do think this team is good enough to make the play-in, but I don't really want to make the play-in because I feel like they should be complete sellers at the trade deadline. I feel like Chicago Bulls fans want them to be complete sellers at the trade deadline because, being the 9-10 seed, making the play-in, and maybe getting to the 8 seed and, having a actual playoff series is not really going to help this team for the future. So I think you need to be full seller mode at this trade deadline. At very minimum, you got to trade DeMar DeRozan. At number 19, you got the Atlanta Hawks, who are 2-2 on the week, with 16-23 overall for the season so far. Not a bad season so far for the Hawks. They're I think they're right under the Bulls, so they're like the 11 seed maybe, buffering right around there at the play-in seed. I think this Hawks team, all the rumors are that they're going to be trading DeJounte Murray probably. I'm not exactly sure if I want to do that. I really just want to trade Clint Capella, and maybe one of your younger guys that aren't going to be too much of a big piece for your future. I would like to just trade Clint Capella and try to get a better player, better wing probably that can salvage this team. Because I think Okongwu should get the majority of your center workload. Then you got Bruno Fernando, who's not a bad backup center. So I think you got to trade Capella for like a forward, maybe like Jeremy Grant or something that could play some really good defense and stuff for you guys. Or you can even get another like a really good backup guard, because right now you don't really have great backup guards. Obviously, you got Bogdanovich, but you don't have a true backup point guard on the team other than Patty Mills, which isn't really great. But I don't really think DeJounte Murray is the move. I think Clint Capella is probably the move for you guys to trade, and then maybe get one more year out of this DeJounte Murray. And then if, by next trade deadline, if he's not doing anything better, or even by the offseason, if you don't see any improvement in the last couple of months of this season, then maybe you can trade DeJounte Murray. At number 18 are the Los Angeles Lakers, who are 20-21, 2-2 on the week. So not a bad week for them. Overall for the Lakers, they're not a great team so far this season. Definitely by Lakers standards. This is like the exact same record they were at this point of the season last year, which that's a little bit promising, because obviously last year they made it to the conference finals. So technically you could say they're on pace to make the conference finals again if you just go based off of that logic, but I'm not exactly sure if that's the way you want to go with this. But they also, there are additions of Skylar Mays and Dylan Windler from last week. Skylar Mays has actually not been playing a whole lot, but he has been very, very efficient in his limited playing time, so that does look like a little bit of a positive for you guys. At number 17, we got the Orlando Magic, who are 22-18, 1-3 on the week. They've just been not playing the best basketball the last couple of weeks, and they're still doing pretty solid. 22-18 is still a really good record, but they're not playing great basketball right now. They did lose to 3 really good teams. They had a tough schedule this week. Their 4 games that they played were against the Timberwolves, the Heat, the Thunder, and the Knicks. So those are 4 teams that are all probably in the top 12 teams in the NBA right now. So that's definitely a tough schedule. And we did manage to get only 1 win out of that against the Knicks by 4. But I'm not really too upset about that, because you played really, really good teams and you didn't get blown out really in any of those games. Other than maybe the Timberwolves, you did lose that one by about 21 points. But yeah, number 16, we're going to give it to the Phoenix Suns. It didn't go undefeated this week. Only played 2 games, so it's, not a very impressive undefeated streak, but still 2-0 in a week is obviously good. You beat the Lakers by 18 and the Blazers by 11. So a couple good wins for you guys. Help maybe give you some more momentum coming into this next week. And with only having two games in a week, you should be pretty well rested for this upcoming week. So, you're currently on a 2-game winning streak, I believe. You maybe a little bit more than that. I don't exactly know what happened at the end of last week, but you're on a winning streak right now. You should be well rested. So coming into this next week, you guys should be able to probably have the momentum to be going undefeated again this week, potentially. Number 15, we're going to give it to the Indiana Pacers, who are 2-2 on the week, 23-17 overall. Still a pretty good team for them. I do think they need that. They need to trade for another piece for their team to maybe push them into true Eastern Conference contenders. Right now, I believe they're a top 6 lock. I would say they're not going to be a bottom 2, 7, 8 seed and be wrapped into the play-in game. I think they'll be a top 6 lock. I'm just not sure if I trust this team currently right now to make any real noise in the playoffs. Maybe a first round, but I don't think they're going to be, a real title contender. But I do think if they try to make one splash of a trade, which they got some pieces for this team, they can try to do that. That'll be really, really good for this Pacers team. Number 14, we're going to give it to the Pelicans, who are 24-17 overall and 2-2 on the week. They're doing pretty good right now. 24-17 is a really good record for them right now. You might have a couple All-Stars on this team with Ingram, Zion, McCollum, all potentially playing an All-Star level player. You probably only get one of those guys in the All-Star, if that, but I believe it's pretty promising for you guys right now. You went 2-2 on the week, like I said. You destroyed the Warriors. You played the Mavs twice. You won 1, lost 1. You lost to the Nuggets by 12. So, that's not a bad week for you guys at all. Number 13 is the Sacramento Kings, who got 2-2 on the week. They're actually going to drop 6 spots. 2-2 on the week isn't bad, but you are going to drop 6 spots. You played your 2 wins were against the Pistons and Hornets, so against really bad teams. Then your losses were against the Sixers and the Bucks. So those are some good teams that you lost to, but with only beating really bad teams and losing to a couple good teams, as well as a lot of the other teams above you just played really, really good this week as well. You are going to end up dropping about 6 spots here. At number 12, we do got the New York Knicks. We're going to drop 7 spots from their ranking. They are 2-2 on the week as well. So again, you You didn't play horrible basketball. You lost to the Mavs by 4. You lost to the Magic by 4. Then you beat some bad teams in the Blazers and Grizzlies. So you're in the same spot as the Kings. It's just you were ranked slightly above them last week. So I'm going to give you, slightly above the Kings this week. Number 11 is the Dallas Mavericks, who went 2-2 on the week, and they're going to drop 5 spots here as well. But the reason they're going to be ahead of the Knicks, even though they were below the Knicks last week, is because they ended up beating the Knicks head-to-head this week. So I can't really put them below the Knicks because of that. And then they did get Maxi Kleber back, so that gives them a little bit of a boost in that aspect as well. At number 10, we do got the Utah Jazz, who are 22-20, 4-0 on the week. I believe they've played the most games out of any team this year. Most other teams are around 37 to 41 games. They've actually played 42 games already, so I don't really know what's up with that, but that just means they might be getting better, more resting time during the back half of the season, which is actually going to be a really good thing for the Utah Jazz. Helping give them some momentum, but they're actually playing really, really good. I believe they're on a 6-game winning streak right now, so that's definitely good for them. You played some really good teams in this week. You beat the Nuggets. Raptors aren't a great team, but you beat them by 30. You beat the Lakers this week, and you destroyed the Indiana Pacers. So you played really, really good basketball all week long, and there's been plenty of talks about you guys making some trades, obviously. I think you got to trade guys like Olynyk and Clarkson who aren't going to be a part of your future, but I want to keep this entire core together mostly because you've been playing really, really good basketball over the last few weeks. At number 9, you got the Miami Heat, who are 3-1 on the week, 24-16 overall. So for this Miami Heat team this week specifically, let me see, you guys lost to the Thunder by 8 as your only loss of the week. Then you beat the Magic by 3, the Hornets by 17, and the Nets by 1. So a couple of close wins there, but you also had a pretty close loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder as your only loss of the week. So you're playing good basketball. You got to move up a few spots here. Number 8, we're going to give it to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who went 2-0 on the week. They had their what was it, Paris game or something, whatever game like that. I think it was Paris, which is why they only get 2 games in this week because they had obviously a very long flight and stuff like that, and get to spend an extra day in Paris, I believe. So they only had 2 games this week, but they took care of business, beating the Nets by 9 and the Bulls by 18. So really good short week here for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Darius Garland could potentially be back this week, but it'll probably take about 1 more week to come back. Number 7 is the Philadelphia 76ers, who are 2-1 on the week, 25-13 overall. They've been playing good basketball. Going to move up exactly 1 spot here. You did lose to the Hawks by 7, but then you ended up beating the Kings by 19 and the Rockets by 9. So Hawks aren't a horrible team. You lost to them, and then you had a couple of good wins this week, so that's going to move you up 1 spot here. Number 6, you do got the Denver Nuggets, who are 28-13, went 2-1 on the week. They're going to drop 3 spots here, mostly because you end up losing to the Jazz this week, who, obviously have been playing better basketball than they have in the last few weeks. But, it's not the best week for you guys. You beat the Pacers by 8, the Pelicans by 12, and the loss to the Jazz by 13. It's not a horrible week, but also the teams that are going to move ahead of you just simply played better this week, so it's not as much of a knock on Denver, just more as a praise on the other teams that move up. Number 5 is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers, who went 2-1. Same record as the Nuggets this week. They were just ranked 1 spot higher last week, so I'm going to keep them 1 spot higher this week. And their one loss here was a 4-point loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, so their loss was definitely a more impressive loss than the Denver Nuggets loss as well. At number 4 is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to move up 6 spots after going undefeated in this week. You beat the Celtics by 33 points. That was a blowout by halftime. You were up by almost 40 points. Then you basically coasted the rest of the game. So that was a really impressive win there for the Bucks. You beat the Warriors by 11. And then you beat the Kings by 1 on a buzzer beater 3 by Damian Lillard. Then you also got Jay Crowder back. So it was a really, really good week for the Milwaukee Bucks. A blowout win. Pretty good win, then a buzzer beater win, and you're getting a key role player back to this team. Number 3, we're going to give it to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who went 3-1 on the week. They're going to move up 6 spots. I moved them above the Milwaukee Bucks because even though they did lose 1 game this week, it was only a 7-point loss to the Celtics, who are one of the best teams in basketball. And then they beat good teams in the Magic and Clippers. So I didn't really know if the Bucks should move in ahead of this team. They're right there neck and neck. The Timberwolves, I just thought, would be a little bit better than the Bucks right now. Number 2, I'm going to give it to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Going to move up 2 spots here, get them back in the top 2 over here. Been a good week. They went 3-1 on this week. Really good week for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their only loss of the week was a 7-point loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. But you did beat good teams in the Heat and Magic, and you beat the Blazers by 62 points. That's why you got to move you up all the way to number 2 because you had a 62-point win. That's like the fourth largest margin of victory in an NBA game ever, or something like that. So it was a very, very impressive win here for the Thunder. And number 1 is gonna be the Boston Celtics, even though they did get blown out by the Bucks. I am going to keep them at number 1 because they beat a good team in the Minnesota Timberwolves. They destroyed the Rockets and they beat the Raptors. So it might be a little bit debatable about who should be number 1, but I do not think the Bucks were worthy of jumping all the way up to number 1, even though they were one of the few teams this week that did go undefeated, and they blew out the Boston Celtics. I still, I maybe the Milwaukee Bucks way closer to number 1, but I still felt like Celtics should be staying here at number 1 because they do have the best record in the league. Only 9 losses at this point, and at this point we're roughly halfway through the season. Let me go on to my next thing here. My top performers of the week. So Domantas Sabonis had a 30-point triple-double and another 20-point triple-double. Anthony Davis dropped a 40-piece, and Embiid dropped a 40-piece. Wemby had a triple-double in only 21 minutes. Then he had a 26-point, 13-board game with 2 steals and 5 blocks. That's really impressive there. Maxey had a 35-point near triple-double there with 4 steals. Jalen Duren nearly had a 20-20 game with 20 points and 19 boards. Donovan Mitchell put up a 40-piece in Paris. Giddey had a triple-double. Kyrie had 2 separate 40-piece, and Tim Hardaway Jr. had a 40-piece with 9 threes. And Kyrie put up 42 in the same game that Tim Hardaway put up 41 points. So they were carrying the team without Luka Doncic for a couple of games. LaMelo Ball had 5 steals and 28 points in his first game back from injury. Jokic put up a triple-double. Hartenstein had 12 points and 20 rebounds with 4 blocks. And then Giannis had a 27-point triple-double. So a bunch of great performances throughout the week. Next up will be my award races. I'm actually taking these odds straight from FanDuel. I was using a couple different websites earlier, but I wanted to get one consistent website right now, which is going to be FanDuel. My MVP right now, Jokic moved up 1 spot, Shea moved up 1 spot, Luka moved up 1 spot, Giannis moved up 1 spot, and Embiid dropped all the way from number 1 all the way down to number 5. Obviously I was using different websites, so maybe Embiid was already not number 1 last week, but that's just what we're going to have to go off of for my rankings here. Let's see. Rookie of the Year, Chet Holmgren. Wemby and Jaime Jaquez stayed at 1, 2, and 3. Derek Lively just jumped up 1 spot to overtake Brandon Miller for number 4, and then Brandon Miller is just going to fall 1 spot at number 5. Most improved player, we got Maxey and Sengun and Barnes staying at the 1, 2, and 3, and then Kobe White just going to jump up 1 spot here, and Halliburton's going to drop 1 spot here. Tim Hardaway is going to stay at number 1 for 6th man of the year. Malik Monk and Bogdan Bogdanovic are going to switch for 2 and 3. Jordan Clarkson and Benedict Mathurin are going to come in from off the list up to number 4 and number 5 for there. Clutch player of the year, Damian Lillard is going to jump up 1 spot while Shea drops 1 spot to number 2. And then LeBron, Curry, and Luka are all going to move up 1 spot each to move up to 3, 4, and 5. And then, somebody dropped off that list. Coach of the Year is going to be Mark Daigneault and Chris Finch at the 1 and 2, staying put there. Joe Mazzulla is going to jump up a few spots here to get up to number 3. Rick Carlisle stays at number 4, and Jabal Mosley drops from 3 to 5 there. Defensive Player of the Year, I forgot I did not have Defensive Player of the Year on my list already. I don't know how I messed that up, but obviously I did and missed it, so I'm going to put it back on here now. Current standings here is Rudy Gobert at the 1 there, Chet Holmgren, Anthony Davis, OG Anunoby, and Bam Adebayo rounding out those top 5 Defensive Player of the Year candidates. So the NBA season is nearly halfway over. Some teams have already played half of their games this season. Some teams have played like 41 games, 42 games, and some teams have only played like 37, 38 games. So I will make my All-Star prediction video sometime in the next week because they do come out with those listings next week. So sometime next week. So I am going to come out with the All-Star video sometime this week. But yeah, other than that, thank you for watching. Make sure to come back next week for an updated Power Rankings list and check out my All-Star list and check out my NFL videos as well.